So the question was that you guys went back to discuss, what does it take to develop great reps who are consistent performers? Cool. And just kind of taking a stab at it. I know some of you guys haven't been here very long, some of you guys have been here longer, but just really curious to see what you guys came up with in terms of what you think it takes to develop great reps who are consistent. So, who wants to go first to share some of the stuff you and your group came? All right, Cameron, let me go ahead and copy you up here. All right. Bring it to us, sir.
Okay, so first thing we said was make sure they know what they want and entice them with it. So just keep them goal oriented and push them towards that goal. And then Devin said, hammer down recommendations and training because that's what fuels your business. That's what keeps you alive. And then also ownership, like get them to take accountability and ownership and help them understand that like it's their own business. And then Sakavion said, help them understand how what we teach them directly translates to their success. And then he said, for example, like the psychology in the scripts, and then help them understand how important practicing those scripts are. And then I said, fast start PDI. I think it's very important to help them with emotion management and kind of hold their hand through the start of the job. And also a assistant manager support web, I think is very important because the assistant managers are more like the reps. And if they have a lot of people that are like them that they can lean on, I think that makes it a lot easier for them to kind of help get their feelings out and just help them vent and get over the things that we deal with, in our fast start. And then do you want me to go on to the next question?
No, not yet.
Okay. Wait.
But I would like to hear some expansion, and anyone from your group that wants to expand on this, please do. So we talked about first, what are they working for? That's huge, by the way, and hopefully both groups had that because so many managers, guys, and I've seen this for years. Manage people based on whatever they want them to do or whatever they think they should do or whatever it is. And I've asked, by the way, I have asked veteran managers before after someone's fast start or 2 weeks, say, hey, what is so and so working for? And they're like, oh, I mean, money. I don't really know. And I'm like, no, what specific, like money for what? Are they buying a car? Are they trying to go to Europe? Are they trying to buy their parents a house? Are they trying to make their first investments? Like, what are they doing? Right. And so there, when you're talking about what they're working for, I want to encourage you guys to dig a little deeper because my veteran thought they, oh, they're working for money. Well, no, money for what? Right? Like, what is it going to do for them? How is it helping them for the future? And so the more you know that, and I'm glad you guys talked about this, you can remind them of that, right? Because then Devin, someone closes that homemaker sale, and hits that next promo. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, you just hit your next promotion. How does it feel to have doubled your starting pay since you started? Or how does it feel to, dude, now when you sell a homemaker, you're not going to make 20%. Now you're going to make 25. Dude, and like telling them the difference. How cool is that? And I'm just so excited because that's going to help you get that car sooner. Or I'm so excited so you can keep putting that money away for that Euro trip, right? And so you're tying back like as they wins, as they celebrate, you're congratulating them on their sales, right? But it's all about them helping get another step closer to what they're working towards. And the managers that do that, by the way, Dane Espegard, great friend of mine. And this was something that we both learned about the same time. All right. It's in my book. It's in his book, Dream Machine. It's in my book, Life is a Masterpiece. And it's the dream session, right? And he now created an app for the Dream Machine because he's like, I know the difference of when I manage my reps and my people and I knew what they were working towards and what they were excited about, and being able to manage reps, and everything they're doing is getting them closer to going skydiving or taking mom on a cruise or doing whatever. And it's just a whole other higher level of excitement than just making money. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. So that's super powerful, that you shared that, Cameron. As far as Rex, can someone share more? Why did you guys choose Rex in terms of what it takes to develop, high performing reps or great reps that are consistent performers?
I think a really, really important thing in a rep is patience. So from like my personal experience is Like I had a halt about 2 weeks after I started, but if I didn't have the patience that I did and kept pushing myself to get more recommendations, I wouldn't be sitting in this Zoom meeting with, all of you guys. Like I probably would have ended up back at like Chick-fil-A or what some food or, like restaurant. So I think having a patience with, doing demos, getting recommendations, making those calls, it's really, really important because it shows that you still have that drive to make the money, to get that car that you really want, or just getting up to like the president's letter, 10K, whatever your goal is.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And so anything to Rex specifically, why are Rex so important?
I
Yeah,
mean, Rex.
so
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead,
no,
Devin.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
So I thought you were you asking me that directly or?
Oh no, just in general, whoever wanted to
Oh,
talk
okay.
about
No,
Rex.
no, Devin, you can go if you'd like. I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. Lady first. Come on, I can go after you.
All right. Well, I think recommendations are really, really important because, you're branching out to new people, but you're not, I mean, it's not like one person. You're branching out to multiple different people. And like one of my goals, with recommendations is having connections literally from every state, every part of the country. Like I really want to get up to there one day where I could call somebody out in like Montana, like, hey, like you want some Cutco? Then they recommend me to more people in Montana, or I end up calling someone that's over in New York and I get to just branch out like it's like a constant thing. So
Mhm.
the more people that I'm doing the demos with, the more recommendations that I'm able to get from all these, starting points that I had. So I'm able to just book more and more demos and make that money and hit my goal.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And I'm gonna talk more to that in a second, Stevie, because there's some good stuff that you mentioned there that is huge to make sure your guys' reps understand. Okay. But before I talk about that, Devin, what did you have to say about why do you feel Rex is an important factor to having consistent reps, great reps that are consistent performers?
Our group said Rex was like probably the number one thing to hit on in training, just because like the average to break a bad habit is like I think it's like 13 times doing it right or something.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you have a rep that is just focused on like the commission or like closing the sale, speaking for personal experience, like in their fast start, as soon as they get out, they don't understand that their revenue is generated by them, right? Like they're 100% their own business. And I think it's really important to know that your business is getting more people to talk to. Like the only reason that like you have a business is depends on how many people you talk to each week. Um, and then like just why, right? Like so, your hot 25 hit list that you have each week, right? Like bring whenever you establish a system that all of your reps are bringing 25 people to call to team meeting, you don't have wasted time, you don't have people leaving out of phone jams early. Like everyone is working towards a common goal. And then like we always talk about during team meeting, right? Like if you have recs, right, you have demos. If you have demos, you have sales, right? It's all numbers.
By the way,
Um,
thank you for getting to the Zoom. I'm like, you guys don't need to overcomplicate this. If
yeah.
you don't have people to call, how the hell are you going to have a consistent business? Right?
Right. Yeah.
Like through and through, yes, it is the most important thing because that is where you have the opportunity to be a consistent performer, right? If I'm like, I don't have anyone to
Right.
call this week. I can't consistently have my 7 to 10 demos, right? That I did around school or in the summer, I did 20 to 25 demos every week. Well, if I don't have people to call, how the heck am I going to book that, right? So,
Right.
in its most basic essence, you literally can't have a business if you don't have people to see, right?
Right.
I love that you guys dove in a little bit deeper and with the Breaking Bad Habits and something Stevie said I wanted to speak to, which is so huge, was the networking aspect and how this grows our people. So I was talking to a rep last week, and I said, a lot of times people don't think about this because they're just like, oh, I got to get Rex or how hard it is. And it's like almost like dreading Rex versus being super excited about them, right? A great example of this comes from College Station. James Rushing, one of the best networkers I have ever met, by the way, in terms of really knowing who he wants to meet, who he wants to serve, and asking for it and getting there. Okay. And so you guys think about that with your business, right? One of my guys, Donovan, like he had like the neighborhoods he wanted to be in, the types of people and professions he wanted to meet. Many of you have seen the who do you know sheet that's on my slideshow. That's his. That's what he had made in Miami with different schools and stuff on it. But he got really focused on like, how do I build the business I want? For him, he was lower income like me and wanted to get into better circles, right? And he built that and it became one of our top people in those circles. But for others, it's about them and how can we help them? And I wish I would have understood this more 15 years ago, right? But I see it now in retrospect and go, wow, like our guys get to meet anyone and everyone they want. And not everyone's going to know that person, but most people have like they talk about something called 5 degrees of separation. Who's ever heard this? That like someone that knows someone that knows someone that knows someone knows the person you want to meet, right? And so it's really incredible when you get in this business, you get a chance to start building your future network. Okay. Caleb Monroe, who's on a sign on I-45 somewhere going down or coming back from Galveston, the Monroe team and their realtor team was one of my top reps, right? Back in 2018. And Caleb was crushing it. And he understood this. He understood how can I utilize this Cutco job to grow myself, to gain skills, to get that. But most importantly, to build a dynamic network that loves me, that I build relationships with, that I can later market my future business to. Cool. And so he, really built his relationships. He always sent thank you cards. People loved him. And when he transitioned out of Cutco and went full-time realtor, he's like, I did it. I'm a realtor now. Cause he'd always talk about that in his demos, right? My goal is to have my own realty team, and I'm really doing this job to gain experience selling myself, being able to present better, being able to get referrals, meet different types of people and just get good at that. And y'all, he has built a dynamic business and he's in his early 20s because of what he built here with Cutco and what he learned here and what he learned in Leadership Academy. And he's like, Kat, I use everything with my team. He's like, I didn't even realize how directly, like almost everything directly implemented into my business, right? But even it was just meeting the types of people you want to meet, like James wanted to meet oil and gas. He was studying, when he was at school, he was going into oil and gas. That was like his future job, right? Which he ended up now being like a gifting branding consultant, and is doing incredible things with the business that he built. And Cutco is one of the products, but he has other things too when he helps people with their gifting programs. But I remember, Jane, like every time he got leads, he's like, oh, who do you know in oil and gas? Who do you know who are executives in oil and gas? He's like, I love to meet them and ask them questions as I'm trying to figure out what I want to do in the future, right? And for me, it was, I want to meet these type of people to just learn the habits of successful people. I come from lower income and I don't have a lot of mentorship. And so I love meeting people who have been there, done that, or are self-made and getting to pick their brains on what helped them get there. By the way, guys, that's true. And when I was a rep, I would ask for people like, who do you know that owns their own business? Who do you know who's a C-level executive? Who do you know who's like self-made, multimillionaire? Be like, I'm so curious as to how they did it, how they got there. I love hearing people's stories, because I don't come from much. And so I get so much mentorship from people I get to meet. And I'm so blessed to have a job like this that I get to meet all different types of people. When you share your goals, good, like people are like, good for heck yeah. Like I want to introduce you to my buddy. He's going to love you, Devin. And I'm going to introduce you to so-and-so. And you start meeting these unbelievable people who can mentor you in your life, who can connect you to the right people. And that when you guys finish school or you're on to the next thing and you're ready to start your chiropractic practice or your coaching practice or your real estate business or your whatever, that you can shoot them an email and update, because you're going to shoot them an email every single year. By the way, we're going to shoot an email this week to all of your clients, letting them know you're going to Olean next week. And I should have that. We have all the material should be given to you tomorrow at your team meetings, but I'm going to remind your managers to make sure we get everything to you, but make a note of that. Say, I need the email to send all my clients, and just letting them know that we have Black Friday specials are starting now in November. But we actually have some early bird for anyone that orders next week before the month starts. And it also helps you at the end of your contest before you go stand in front of all the executives in New York. Cool. But every year, at least once a year, if not 2 times, you're going to send an update. This is how you keep building. Oh, here's how school's going. Here's where I'm at now. Thank you for all your help through time. And then, hey, if you guys need anything, there's some cool specials running, right? But it's just like keeping those guys updated. And then when it's time, hey, I've graduated, or hey, I'm finally, I've absolutely love my time with Cutco, and I'm now, going on to the next thing and what I've been preparing for. I'm launching my business, or I'm joining this company, and I just wanted to share with all my amazing customers who've helped me on my journey where I'm at. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you. And by the way, if you know anyone that might be looking for X, Y, and Z services, please feel free to connect us via email or cell phone. I'm super excited to serve our community in X, Y, and Z ways, right? And then you get people, oh my gosh, Debbie, oh heck yeah, and that was like Caleb started with a lot of past customers, being their realtor, kept building it. It's amazing to see what they built, right? But for other people, they're getting clients because how do people know you're available, and how do they know you're good? And now you have these fans of yours who have watched you grow, who have watched you build a business, who have watched you do something that is hard, that most people won't do, direct sales. All right. And they admire the heck out of you. And they're so excited to connect you with people that they know. Is this making sense to everybody, by the way? This is huge. And so do your reps know it's not just about getting reps to go do demos to sell Cutco knives, okay? But it's about learning how to build a network and starting to build a foundation of mentors and potential future clients for whatever you do in the future. Everyone see that? Okay. And so this is why working backwards, even more important. And those who were here this summer, Devin, you heard me talk about this before I left. Graham, like it is so important that are you just sharing your goals? Or are you enrolling them into your journey and into what you're doing, where they're like, wow, Devin, I'm so proud. And they're excited to keep up and see how you're doing. And if you actually get there, and so that's what you want to be doing. So do your reps understand how much this can help them, right? And getting reps, not just reps to sell knives, but building your network for the future, network for mentors, network for future clients, network for biggest fans and referral partners. Okay. That's huge. All right. Then you mentioned ownership. Can anyone speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think Cameron brought it up originally, but we kind of referenced like Cody and like GCLA like every week, like or it could be like in the team meeting, like when you guys pull up the sales report. I'm not sure how like other offices work, but just like the accountability, like for example in GCLA, like we all make a call goal together in front of everybody for the next week, right? And then you show up the next week and everybody says if you got to the goal or didn't get to the goal, right? To me, the way I interpret like this concept is like no one is directly saying, "Hey, Devin, you didn't hit your goal this week, but everybody else did." But you hear it yourself, right? So then I feel like there's an aspect of like self-ownership as well, right? Like nobody's telling you that you're doing anything wrong by not hitting your goal, but I know when I don't hit my goal and everybody else does, I'm like, damn, like I got to pick it up next week. And then I do, right? So as far as accountability and ownership, I feel like it goes both ways, right? You have self-accountability, and then as a manager, you have holding them to that accountability or like to that goal. So I think that's what we meant. If Cameron or Issa or Sakavion want to add on.
Love it. Any additions? You guys feel whole.
Yeah. What my team had.
Oh, wait. Before your team, hold on. Sorry. I'm finishing up with theirs, and then it's your turn. By the way, Sakavion said connecting a version of this is what my brain heard because I always talk about it, but connecting the dots on what they're learning and how it'll benefit them later, right?
Yeah.
Like, do your people really know that? Because if you want long-term consistent reps, like they're working towards stuff, right? Whether it's resume boosters, consistency, like, and that's something, we'll talk, I'll add stuff afterwards. Fast Start PDI. And you guys talked about emotional management. This is huge, but even deeper with Fast Start PDI is that this creates the habits from the get-go, right? So yes, you're helping manage their emotions, keeping that, because it's different. It's different. It sucks hearing no. How about if someone no shows or whatever? And so that emotional management, that they know they have someone to support them doing hard things, helps them grow the thicker skin that's going to allow them to do hard things later on their own with confidence. Okay. So definitely, but you also set a lot of the right expectations and accountability. So you were talking about the ownership and accountability, right? Well, you can't have accountability if your reps don't call you. And so that
Right.
first weekend PDI and that fast start PDI sets the stage for communication, right? And like them wanting to talk to you, them being excited to talk to you and getting tips from you, them wanting your guidance, right? This is huge. And you establish that in the beginning. If you're never there, you're never available, that's discouraging and that rep might quit, right? But if they're having trouble and they have a connection to you, they'll be like, hey, Cameron, I really need help with this. And it gives you a window to be able to actually support them, because there are reps that try to do it on their own. And it's just very hard to do this and be a top achiever on your own. I don't know many people who have done that. And even my super independent people, I still guided them and gave them things to do and watch and whatever to help them get to where they were, right? So that's huge. And then I love what you said with the AM support web. So yes, go ahead, Grant, take it from there. And then
Oh, wait, Kathy, could I just say like one quick point?
yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like add on to what like Cameron was saying about like your support village or like support web. Um, this one like is pretty close to my heart just because like I felt the same way as like whenever reps come up to me and be like, hey, like, I don't really feel like comfortable like messing up in front of like John or like Kathy or like Cody. And just like me and like Millie and like all the other AMs in our office, like we have, like Cameron said, like we're younger, like we feel like we could connect with them more. And then there's not like that pressure of like, oh, he has like the power to like fire me if I mess
Right,
up,
the
right?
intimidation factor.
Yeah. So like the power dynamic is like is smaller, I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, so I was just gonna say like that was like really important firsthand experience that I think really shaped me.
Awesome. And I went ahead and put that in the chat if you guys want to grab the stuff that their team talked about. But Grant, go for it.
Yeah, for sure. What my team kind of came up with and what I have notes on is because this is something that I got from just running training and just kind of realizing like what our most successful people have. And most of the times they have their schedule in order. They have the times to do demos. They have people to call. They have good recommendations. They know who to call. They know like their top 5, top 10, however many. They know how to do a good demo, and they have an incentive. Which in the end of the day, it's really just comes down to, is their schedule in place? Are they good at getting recommendations? Are they getting recommendations that they want to see? Are they looking forward to seeing some of these people? Are they good? Are they coachable? Like are they asking the right questions? Are they showing up to the team meetings? Are they showing up to the GCLAs, learning how to level up their business, whether it be demos, whether it be recommendations, whatever, right? And then do they have something that they're actually working towards themselves, you know? And like what's the income going towards, What's this going towards? Do they have a number that, like every week that they're trying to reach, Like that's what I love about GCLA is we set call goals every week and we have a number that we're trying to reach, And I think with that, it kind of makes everything a lot easier because it makes it like, smart goals, right? You want to make sure it's measurable. And so you're actually able to measure like, hey, we were off this week. What's up? Because people have off weeks. That's something that we talked about is I was under the impression that reps give 110%, but life happens. Sometimes we don't have the bandwidth to give 110%. Sometimes we can only give 80% some weeks. Sometimes we get in a car crash. We can only get like 60% some weeks, whatever, right? And I thought that was really I thought that was that kind of opened my eyes and it was like, oh, like as long as you because I always thought it was giving 110% no matter what, That's just not really fair, I guess, is the or is it something with goals? Like is it something just tailored to their goals and what they need out of it? I don't know. But yeah, those are the main things I had. Just those 4 things are super important and they're really key.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So a lot of these, we're sounding themes, and I a lot of great stuff here. I want to walk you guys through some basics, and I want you guys to write down that we don't want to forget the basics, right? That make a really big difference. And so one of them you guys hit on, which is, do they have people to call? All right. I remember hearing when I was first a brand new manager, they said three things for a rep to be a consistent performer and be here a long time. That's it. Everything else, obviously, it elevates everything you guys were talking about. But they said 3 things. Number one, do they have people to call? Cool. That's number one. And so, yes, that's why the recs and brainstorming and making sure they have confidence in collecting that is always growing. But that's the first thing. They need people to call. Number two, do they have a plan? Okay. And so making sure like, do they, and I don't think anyone really like went deep into that. But that is so important. Like, do they have a plan? What does that mean? A structured schedule to support their goals, right? So do we know their goals or know they're going, but then do they actually have a plan? When are they doing their demos? When are their phone times? If they don't hit it, then what's happening? Like, do they actually have a good game plan as to how they're going to hit it? You know, when I sit down and someone says, I want to win a scholarship this fall, and let's say I'm talking to you right now, okay? And I'll just show you guys this. So I'm like, okay. It's not like, oh, well, cool, you can do it. Or let me see your recs. You know, oh my gosh, you know what? I wonder if I still have one of my coaching from a long time ago. But when someone wants to do something, like, we got to make a plan. All right. I was like, I saw it and then it disappeared. Hold on. Annalise, there we go. All right. So here's an example. This was me on a sheet. I actually, then we went and pulled up her Excel sheet and we put it like on her schedule to visually see it on the schedule. But this was something she wanted to, you know, she told me what she wanted to make for the summer, what she wanted to do, right? And this is someone that want to be a consistent performer in the summer. We walked through like, what does she need for school, for her car, computer? So it'd be nice if she could save 26K for the summer and prepay all her stuff for the school year. That would be really cool. 10K is a must. 15K for her was ideal. And 20K would be great. Okay. So we went over that, whatever, but you guys can look down here. But this was the plan. The plan was she wanted to work 6 days a week. So I said, fine. So 6 days a week. What I recommended was, can you do 2 blitz days where you do 6+ on those days? Can you have 2 days where you do 4+ demos? Okay. And then can you have 1 to 2 days that you do 2+ demos, right? Those are more like lighter days where you run errands or go do stuff in the morning. And then maybe you have 2 demos at night, right? I said, if you're doing that, that's 20 appointments a week that are getting completed. That means statistically 12 sales, even though hers were higher, with a $400 average order, which her average order was like over 600. I was like, that's $4,800 a week. And I was like, and if you did that for 8 weeks, which is what she had left, I'm like, that's $38,000 that you sell plus whatever extra you do during the push. And y'all, she makes half. So that for her was $18,000 earned. So that plan got her right in here. And if she actually did more for the push, it would let her hit that bigger goal. Okay. So do they have a plan of how it's going to happen? Cool. You want to hit a scholarship this fall? That means you need to sell 25K. Okay, cool. How many weeks do we have left? We have 10. Cool. If you're at 0, anyone talk to me. What do we need to sell per week in order to get that done? 2,500. Thank you, Cameron. 2,500. If we're looking at averages, let's just use 400 is a good baseline. Okay, I know it's 450 or 480 or even 500 sometimes, but 400 is a good baseline. And so I'm like, okay, cool. We need to sell 2,500. I was like, so that's 6, right? 6, 7 sales that they need to have, which statistically is around 10, but I would plan 12 demos. I say, hey, I would plan on 12 demos so that if half by 6 times 400 is about 2,400. That gives you a shot at what you want to do. If you want to guarantee it, you might want to think about 14 demos, right? But what's the next step? When is it happening? Where in the schedule, right? So like once we figured out for Annalise that, okay, she needs 2 blitz days, she needs 2 days of 4+ demos, and she needs 1 to 2 days. I didn't think she needed to work 6 days, but she wanted to. But I was like, even if you just work 5 days, you know, but if you do 2+ demos, that gives you 2 to 4 more demos. Well, guys, once we did that, then we said, okay, one of your blitz days, right? And we marked her blitz days. Cool. When are the days you're going to do 4+ demos? Okay, cool. When are the days you want to do 2? Do you want to do them in the morning or at night? We put it on her schedule. And then we said, what's next? When are your call times? How are you getting these booked, right? Focusing on the blitz days, but looking backwards to make sure that she had a plan that was going to allow her to have the call time she needed, to book the demos she needed, to carry out the goal she needed. Everyone with me? So that's all part of having the plan. Is do we know their goals? Do we know why they're working? Because it's going to help motivate. Do we have a game plan of what they're going to need to sell to get there? Do we have a plan of what their demo structure is going to look like to get there? And then do we know when the calls are going to happen? So what you guys just saw me look at there, then we just pick. And I literally was like, Annalise, if you're going to do 6 demos on 2 days, when would you do them? My recommendation is that at least one of those is on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Cool. At least one of the blitz days. You might do both, but up to you. And she's like, yeah, I'd probably blitz Friday and Saturday and take Sunday off. I was like, cool. We were like kind of mapping stuff out. But I remember a different summer, she did her blitz days Tuesday and Fridays, or her brother did, I think Chavez. And he did his blitz days Tuesday and Friday. I was like, cool. Which are the days you're doing 4+ demos? He's like, Saturdays I'll do 4, and then I want to go chill with my girlfriend and do whatever. Great. What's another day you can do 4? Oh, I can do 4 on Mondays. I'm like, beautiful. And so we put those in there, right? And then one of the two, but then we put the dollar signs. Like it's just kind of step by step. And a lot of managers don't take the time to make the plan properly with them. Cool. And I told you guys again, when I started, there were 3 things to have consistent reps. Number 1, do they have people to call? Number 2, do they have a plan? And number 3 is, do they feel good? Do they feel good? Right? And so are they excited? Are they motivated? Are they feeling confident? And part of that can come from the plan. Part of that can come when you guys are making the plan, Grant, that you're creating vision of like, how cool is it going to be for you to hit this and be able to buy that car? Or how cool is it going to be for you to be able to hit this and win a scholarship and have some money to put towards school, but to be able to put on your resume, you were top 50 out of like 20,000 plus people. How good is that going to feel, right? How cool is it going to feel to show your parents that you can be out on your, whatever it is that excites them most, like leave them feeling good and excited. So they've got people to call, they have a plan, and they're feeling good. Boom, let's go execute. Cool. And a lot of what you guys shared falls under some of those bubbles. Some of it goes through, and there's the ongoing management, right? Is there the accountability to carrying out their plan, right? Are these other things happening there to make sure, do we set the stage with first weekend PDI, like Cameron talked about, to set the right foundations, to set the right habits, to make sure they feel good, right? That's part of the PDI, right? Is making sure they feel good. You don't want a no-show or a no sale, and then they go to the next demo feeling down, right? Because that's not going to help support their goals. And so part of that first weekend PDI is making, hey, that happens. Hey, one of your no sales knocked out. Hey, your best come after your worst days. Like that helps them feel good, right? So these umbrellas carry multiple of these things that you guys said. But I just want to honor you guys. Great job with this, by the way, because it really, like, understanding this and being intentional about this goes a very long way. All right. And then it sounds like Cameron, did you guys get to the other question of what do you feel? So repeat, Cameron, the question and what you guys answered. Go for it.
The question was, what characteristics make a consistent rep? And we said discipline, leadership skills, coachability, grit, what's the word? An extroverted personality. So like not shy or afraid to like mess up. A helping mentality, prioritization, time management skills, a desire to improve, a team-oriented person, and a connection builder, and also confident.
All right, cool. I didn't get to type. That went really fast for me, but I like it. Did you guys answer some of these? Grant, did you guys get to this or no?
Yeah, we did. Let me pull it up. Hold on. What I had was patience, like Stevie was talking about. Good reps will have with patience to like, get through the hard stuff. I put down, hardworking and coachable just because, those are just I mean,
Absolutely.
it's been said once, it'll get said 1,000 times, right? If they're
Mhm.
if they're working hard towards their goals and then they show up to things and they're taking notes and they're learning and they're getting better, then, they're going to be a bit more consistent. And then something I put under coachable that I don't know if it counts as coachable is self-respect, you know? And some people like I feel like that's a big thing I struggled with honestly when I first started was having the self-respect to, get up and actually do the things that like we talk about, you know, and actually wanting more for myself. And I think that now that I'm like starting to build that up, it's a really big game changer. I'm starting to see myself do more things like, be active in school, more active in school. Like I'm getting pretty good grades now. Going into, like management. I'm actually excited, like Grant's getting his groove back management wise.
Mhm.
And then like doing events team, working on my own personal sales. I feel like I walk into service calls and events feeling a lot more excited and a lot more ready, and here we are breaking records. It's pretty cool.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's basically it. Is the self-respect, being coachable, hardworking, and having patience with yourself and with the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. And I can tell you guys from coaching so many top consistent performers, like what does it take to be a top performer in our company? Well, one, it's what I talked about of like, do you have people to qual? Do you have a plan? Right. And their most foundational things. But the other attributes that I've noticed that help create some of the best reps in our company is that they have a desire to learn and always get better. It's this constant and never ending improvement, right? And so it's like, how can I get better? How can I improve this? Like it's not like, oh, I got that. Oh, I'm good at that. Well, yeah, you might be good, but how can you get even better, right? How can you, it's mastery. Mastery takes 10,000 hours. Okay. So what do I need to do to master this? And they have this desire to be the best at anything and everything they do, right? So it's a desire to succeed, and like this humbling desire to learn, right? Asking questions, even from people that might have been here less time than they are. All right. I remember being interviewed about Sarah, like, why do you think she beat everybody in 7 months and won Rookie of the Year? I said, I've never seen someone who's so coachable, and has a desire to learn. I was like, every day she puts in at least 30 minutes to learning, right? Just like people who are in the best shape, they go to the gym every day or whatever, right? Similar disciplines. But that's the thing, they're disciplined. And I was like, she has incredible discipline. So, on top of a desire to learn and get better, regardless of where she's at, she also has the discipline to get it done every day, right? Everyone can say they want to do it, but they don't have the discipline to take the actions that are going to get them there. So, that right there is huge, right? And so we're excited to see you guys, keep leaning into that and growing there, because it makes a really big, and they have a high level of communication, is another big thing that I've noticed. Like they talk to us a lot. They don't try to just figure it out on your own. And so again, back to they're very coachable, right? And there's, I don't know, it's not a surprise to me why they succeed at such high levels, but really be thinking about for yourselves right now, if you were your manager, I remember my manager saying this once, if you were your manager and you had to rank yourself, in some of these different areas, one, would you even be one of the top reps that you want to spend time with? Or are you one of the reps that you don't spend as much time because they don't follow through, or they don't show up, or they don't communicate, and you're like chasing them down. And it's like, versus this other rep of yours calls you all the time. Hey, what's up, Devin? I'm working on this. I'm doing this, or I'm gonna come. And you're like, you want to pour more into that person, right? What type of rep are you right now? Like, if you were your rep, like, honestly, would you be so excited to have you on your team? Yes or no? Answer for real to yourself. All right. And I'd love to hear some shares, and we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and do some Joe Frisco on PDI. But, would you love having your team? All right. And if not, all right, or even if so, like, what are areas, if you're looking at yourself, you're the manager and now you're looking at yourself as a rep, what are some of the areas that you feel you could currently elevate in order to be a more consistent representative? All right, which, by the way, if we do this properly, guys, this is how all of our offices are going to be President's Club qualified. Okay. But what are the areas, honestly, looking inward, that you feel that you can improve on? Cool. And so I want you guys to think about for a second, and I'm going to put you guys back into groups real quick to honestly share. So take a second and think about it. Like, are you, if you said 5 is like 5-star, awesome rep, 1 is like, I don't really want to spend my time. I'll probably give them to my assistant manager to handle. And because that's the thing you guys will learn later is 20/80 management. 20% of your people will do 80% of production. 80% will do the other 20%. So especially when you guys are busy, when you're running your office, but this is a habit of high performance people. You're going to spend your time with those that you know are going to put in the most effort, right? Because that's where your teaching, your coach is going to be multiplied, right? Like it's going to be the biggest return of time on your, on your time investment with that person. You could go all in and coach someone for 2 hours and you're like, man, I just had the best PC, and that guy like doesn't implement anything, doesn't listen. You tell them the same thing. And that's probably not someone you want to keep spending 2 hours every time with. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. You got to be smart as a business owner. And whether it's money or time, you're making an investment. And what return is that going to have for your organization, for your culture, for your team? And sometimes you don't know, but you want to be aware of that. Okay. But I want you guys to really think about for yourself, where would you rank yourself 1 to 5, 5 being freaking awesome rep? What number would you give yourself? All right. So everyone rank yourself. And then second, what are the areas, and just pick what are 2 or 3 key areas that you could focus on right now to help you get 1 or 2 notches higher. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys in rooms real quick to share that. This is going to be literally just like 5 minutes in the breakout room. Let me. So, what are some of the ways, just shares, because sometimes someone else may be like, oh, I need to do that too. So what are some of the ways that you feel personally you could level up? You don't have to tell me your score unless you want to. But more importantly, what are 2 or 3 things you feel that you can implement immediately to help you start being a more consistent, dependable rep that you would love to coach, that you would love to coach you. So let's hear from a couple people. I want to hear some shares.
I rated myself like a 3.5. I would say like things that I'm working on right now, just like trying to like increase, be $1,000 average order. So like that just comes with like upselling and like um giving them a bigger buying atmosphere is like the term that I like to use. So like making them think of bigger orders. And then just like consistency, like especially during push, like I already told John, like I really just want to have a good push, like and then like I don't want to go to New York for nothing, right? Like I want to come back with more than I left with. Um but yeah, so I'd say like for me, something that would make me a 5-star rep would be $1,000 consistency and yeah, just learning how to increase my average order.
Cool.
Become more of an asset to Katie West Houston. There we go.
All right. Right. Which I want to know how. So you're like, so by improving your skill set sales wise, it sounds like being more disciplined, like just having a better structure. And is it just committing to that structure to getting it done? All right. Is anyone else feel the same way in terms of that being something that can help level you up? Raise your hand if you had one of those as one of your things. Anybody else? All right. You're not alone, Devin.
Also, the confidence to ask how many and more.
And that goes all under the umbrella of just like elevating as a sales rep, right?
Right.
Like learn a lot of those things, and it's like when they say, oh yeah, I'll take that. I'm like, okay, awesome. I'm like, how many did you want? You always throw people off. They're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, I have a lot of customers that either they have multiple homes or they need gifts, especially now for the holidays. So it's very common for people to take advantage of our bulk purchasing because they get much better deals. And they're like, oh, tell me more, or whatever. So always throwing that out there. So that's great. Anybody else want to share? What are things that you can do to level up as a rep right now?
Yeah, I'll go. Something that I feel like I need to do as a rep is do the things that actually make me money. You know, I feel like I'm really focused on events. I'm really focused on service calls. I'm really focused on, doing these extra things because it's something that I feel like I enjoy more than
Mhm.
just the regular day-to-day like demo stuff. But I have much higher averages on demos. I'm better at closing on demos. And
Mhm.
demos, they just I feel like if I get that part of, I think that's the biggest hole in my business personally, is the amount of time I'm putting in isn't equating to the amount of money I'm getting out, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that the best thing there is just spend time on team meeting actually making demo calls instead of,
Focusing on the income
making
producing
training reminder
activity.
calls, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like training reminder calls are great, but they don't last the entire 30 minutes. I can do those before or after, right?
right. Yep.
Um, But I think if I have demos in front of me, if I actually have it in front of me, like I can do it. I just need to do the work to get it in front of me, you know?
So something that I'd, and you guys want to do this for yourself is right. So what's the action plan, right? So it's like, okay, I think it'd be good to do an audit of your highest income performing activities and when's the best time to do what, right? Because obviously there's support you want to give to the team. And I love your love for helping the office and the team. But also, in addition to that, right? Like the better you do your job, it's twofold. The better you are as a sales rep, the more money you make, but the better you can help other people get, right? And you can take people field training. And like that's some of the best coaching you guys can do for others are actual field trainings. It's a win-win. They're watching you in action, they're getting better, that they can integrate that into their demos, and you're making money while you're teaching. Like I loved field training when I was an assistant manager. So yeah, take a look at stuff. And then when is the right time to do stuff, right? Because I had reps sometimes like, well, I'm gonna make calls now, and they're making calls at like 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to study for my test between like 6:30 and 9:30 p.m. And I'm like, what? Like that should be flip-flop, because you're going to make more money making calls in the evening. You're going to catch more people than calling at 2:30 or 3 when people are at work or picking up kids from school. You know what I mean? And so it's also looking at when am I doing what, because there's certain times where you're going to get a much higher return for what you're doing than other times. Cool. Some of the activities that we have. So awesome. Anybody else want to share? All right. So I'm going to share a couple things real quick, and we're going to take